Scott Schultz is back on the program, joining us from Moose Jaw. Schultz, how's the insurance biz going over there for you? I see you're still in the office.
Yeah, just in my little home office / gym out in White City, perched atop, and just excited. We're going to have a big day tomorrow in Creelman. The old Creelman parade's going on. So Lakeview Insurance, myself will be down there throwing little footballs and candies to the kids.
The Creelman Parade. I love it. They allow you to throw candy because now in this culture, some parades you can't throw candy. I always I know we go to Whitefish, Montana, in the 4th of July parade, they throw freezies. Smart veteran move.
Oh yeah,
some freezy action out
it's
there.
You know what? I'm used to being in BC Place where they throw batteries and Skittles at you, so it don't matter to me. We've got some good gum and candies and an assortment of goodies for the old kiddos.
Throw out a dip to some of the old timers standing by as well. But don't give anybody ideas about throwing batteries too. Geez, that's you see that back in the day. It was the Major League Baseball, the battery giveaway that one team did. What an idea that was. Speaking of football games, let's rewind to last week. How do you dissect?
Oh, yeah.
How do you look at that smoke delay, everything that happened there? As a guy that's played in the league, probably haven't seen anything like that where you get delayed till another day.
No, I participated in that blackout game, and if you remember, I punted the ball into the stands after a blocked punt, and then all the lights went out. So I get it. I get how that can be frustrating. I was actually in the stands up in the AGT lounge. We made it till about 10 o'clock, and it was nice and cozy up there. But again, you hope for the best, and I get that what the team's doing. The team, they need to play the game, and they're waiting it out, and the criticism is just communication, keep it going, and it's tough dealing with those wildfires.
Yeah, no, for sure. Do you think though, and the players union steps in, the older guys, right? Like Trevor Harris kind of mentioned it. Like you want us to warm up at 11:30 at night and then go and play. For the older guys, we're running into a little bit of detriment on the old body.
I know, but it's all part of it. And again, I went to the game on Saturday at 2:00, and it was wild. I mean, it was a stark contrast from the night before. Low personnel and not a lot to offer there. But the game was good and started out good anyways, and we can get into that. But I was happy just to get there again. But it's one of those things where you got to look out for player safety. A lot of things went into the loss. I think we'll get into that a little bit. But it is what it is. I mean, no one had any better information than anybody else, and everyone was kind of waiting to see what happened. Yeah. At those times, you're kind of just a slave to the situation, and you got to just wait till it shakes out.
What didn't you like about the Rider game last week on Saturday?
Well, listen, I've got a little bit of a following on the old X platform there, and I don't really post a ton on there. And I actually tweeted, like, I'm liking this defense. It's looking like early 2000s in the first quarter there. It was bend but don't break, and then they'd make a huge play. They get a turnover, right? Then they force a fumble. Then we get another pick. And then it just came back, and it was egg on my face because, we stalled out on offense and had some trouble on teams, and it didn't work out for us. But in the early beginnings of the game there, I was excited and to see where things were going, and then as it played out, it just couldn't get there.
Luke mentioned this in our one because I asked him. He's a big play man guy, and it's easy to say it's not a video game. You can't play man all the time, right? Where do you land on that? Are you feeling that the Riders are playing a little bit too much zone?
Yeah, it's one of those situations, Barney, when like you do it until it doesn't work anymore. And I think, you go 4-0, things are good, in all those games, there are some challenges that they work through to get the win. And you get settled in and then you get up against an opponent like Calgary who puts the challenge on you. And you see that some things didn't work. So I have all the confidence in their defensive personnel and their defensive coaching staff to take a look at that stuff. And, let's get out of let's get out of zone a little bit. Then you can see it. Like it's gaping when, people kind of get vapor locked in their zone and, there's a guy goes through and makes big plays. So, everyone saw that, okay, tip the cap on Saturday.
Is there a guy defensively that you've liked this year? Maybe that's kind of came out of his shell a bit.
It's not so much like a new guy or any of that, but I like their nose tackle number 4 and or their tackle.
Johnson.
God, his name is escaping me right now.
Johnson.
Yes, Johnson. And the thing with him is, if you look at his career and you look what he's done, he's had some big impact on clubs, certainly on the Roughriders. And you see, he's gone out to Hamilton, he's come back. He's a guy that is just quietly doing his job. It's not super sexy with a ton of pressure or sacks or big plays, but his leverage and the way that he plays to the ball and the pressure he does put on the pocket, you don't see it in a freak out where he's chasing the guy out of the pocket, but it's that steady leverage that's helping. And I think once we keep coming with the ends, it's going to sort itself out.
Wild. If I would have told you Friday or Saturday that, hey, AJ Ouellette's going to end up with under 10 yards, you probably would have slapped me. You would have been like, get out of my face. Wasn't that wild, that stat line? And how they didn't kind of, I guess Calgary, like they always say, they're getting paid as well. We couldn't run the ball, and they went away from it. I was surprised. I'm surprised they didn't use Carey more.
Yeah. I think, when you're in the frying pan and things are hot and cooking, sometimes coaches get into a certain track and you leave it up to them. But again, I personally thought that they went away from the run a little bit. And, that's what a big thing that I want to see tomorrow night is can we get it back in a rhythm? It seems the Riders are great when we've got the running game going and you can kind of play off of those things. It does remind me of back in the day, a little bit of the, Henry Burris, Joffrey Reynolds, where you could run and pass and do what you wanted. And when we do that as a team, and have that success, it looks very good for us. And then you saw, as we saw, on last Saturday, if you don't get that, that's in sync, it can be a long night.
Sam Emelis is back tomorrow, which is great to hear. Trevor Harris too, though, right? Like it wasn't the first half that anybody wanted, but then he starts slinging it in the second half for his age and what he's doing. We talked about it last year as well. The guy, he can read defenses. He gets rid of the ball quick, and he was taking what they were giving him.
Well, I think he's over 400 yards, was he not?
Yeah.
And again, his experience, his age, he's had some injuries here and there and things that have kept him out. But again, they're all things that he seems to have been recovering from. And when he does get on the field, he seems to show up. So it's just a matter, again, it's so early still. You're talking, we're into the sixth game. Things don't start really heating up till that game 9, mid-season, Labor Day action, or whenever the mid-season is. I know the schedule has adjusted a little bit, but, it's hard for the fanship when they hear, it's too early, but it is, guys. It really is. And you're going to see us go out and compete with a tough BC Lions teams that's 3-3 trying to get back into the standings here.
What worries you about that game tomorrow, maybe going into BC?
The biggest thing is we got to reestablish that run game and clean up the red zone scoring. I mean, there's missed chances that caught week, and I think that again, it's not rocket science. They know of the missed chance. It's not like, oh, I can't believe that we didn't score or shucks, we didn't get it in. They know exactly what the problem is or what the breakdown was. I shouldn't say there's a problem. They know exactly where things broke down. And believe you me, it's been addressed. And then it's just a matter of, can those soldiers on the field play it out for the coach's plan?
Are you surprised they haven't tried to at least bring somebody in maybe to kick some footballs behind Brett?
Yeah, again, there's a lot of moving parts and what they're able and what they can do, and I'm sure they're looking at all of their options, and week in week out they're trying to put the best team on the field, and so it's that one you just kind of wait. You got to kind of wait and see a little bit, but the last 5 meetings the Riders were 3-2. We beat them in week 4. Off of the strength of 3 turnovers. So there's that big playability and being able to capitalize on other teams' mistakes. We got to get back to that. And I just think we've got to challenge BC's secondary with mid-range and vertical routes for sure, because what you said about how Harris is able to kind of get in a groove, that's where we're going to be able to exploit those guys.
The league as a whole, like, what biggest surprise for you? Has it been Calgary?
Yes. The biggest, I think for me, the biggest has been Calgary. And then actually, even more so, right now, at this moment, if you take the temperature of the league, all 9 teams, anybody can beat anybody right now. And it really, that's a fact. And as things work themselves out, I think you're gonna start seeing the front runners. But right now, it's pretty juicy across everywhere. Like it's pretty equal, and anybody, I have that feeling that any team can win any night right now, and to me, that's a good thing. That's entertaining.
Tonight, like, I don't think I don't know if I've ever been more intrigued. I'll push excited, and I'm going to bet on it. Calgary in Winnipeg. Sold out. Oh, yeah. What was the stat? Somebody texted in the stat that the Bombers, Gary in Winnipeg, Bombers are 17-0 coming out of a bye. But what an intriguing matchup. This upstart Stamps team sold out Winnipeg. Winnipeg looking for revenge. Perfect Friday night football for the league.
Well, I think this is exactly the kind of game. The only thing that would be better is if there's a Roughrider team involved in it. But again, you take the Riders out of the equation, there's so much pressure that's put on our organization to carry this league sometimes when there are ups and downs, and it's always looked at the Riders. It's great to see that a club, even though it pains me to say it, they've had their successes in Winnipeg and they've taken some of that load over, and it's expanded the game. It's starting to rejuvenate their fan base over the last 5 years, and they say that they're rivaling ours, but really we've led the way, and they're just getting up to that level. And I think it's exciting and a big plus for the CFL.
It's a different time, and I've talked about this. I haven't asked you this question, but it's 2025, and we're somewhat in the same demographic. And I was talking when Ryan Pollock was in on Monday, and I said, you know what? In the 80s or 90s, early 2000s, we were all in school, and our buddies were in school. We didn't have cottages and boats and different things like that. Nowadays, it seems like, you have to have a cottage, or someone's got to have this or whatever. So going to a football game kind of becomes, well, I'll get there if I can. What's your take on the crowds that we're seeing this year here at Mosaic?
Yeah, it's odd times, right? I mean, there's lots of things that are going on that are pulling people in all different directions. There's vacationing, there's all the rest of it. But there's real tough times going on in our world right now. Tough times in Canada, tough times in the United States, and all those pressures. And then there's the overriding technological development of our world that we live in, Barn. And things are changing. And it's different because I don't know if it's being measured the same way, but like, the people that show up in the stands in the past, is there the same amount of interest? It's just that they're consuming the game through multiple different ways. There's in person, there's online, there's on platforms, there's all the rest of it. So it is a weird and interesting time, but the old adage still wins, Barney. If we are winning, the people will show up, and the fan base can sometimes be fickle, but if you give them what they want, and that's wins and consistent football play, they will show up. And I think we're getting there. I mean, the Riders have had to battle back with their attendance the last couple of years, and I think they're getting there. They're 4-1, and if we win, it's just going to keep propelling us.
FOMO, fear of missing out in this province. We're big on that. So people, hey, I got to get to the Rider game. They're When well, watch the playoffs happen and all that. All right, Schultzy. So any tips or tricks for tomorrow? Anyone going to the Creelman parade to get extra candy? Any throw anything out? Any surprises?
If any rider support, we'll get extra big handfuls from these mitts right here. But I guess but just again, keys to victory tomorrow. I mean, we got to revive our running game. We've got to challenge BC's secondary. We definitely got to win the turnover battle. That's a given on every game. But again, last game against them in week 4 is 16 points off of the takeaways, and we got to protect the quarterback. And so we'll see if we can do that. And if Harris has the protection, he's great at figuring out these defenses and distributing the ball.
Very much so. And I think part of me, though, I think special teams could play a factor. Is it one of those games where Lawther gets back rolling, boots him up? And then we got, Alfred out. So we got DRE, returning kicks. Very curious to see what he does.
Well, always exciting when a new kick returner gets back there because you just never know. It's the power of the moment and what can happen, and you just never know if it's going to be the next Gizmo Williams, right? For those old timer fans that are listening.
Gizmo, man, we brought up Gizmo a lot in the last few weeks on this show. Maybe a Willis Jaycox reference is needed. As well. Schultzy, thanks so much for doing this. Have fun at the parade tomorrow. Lakeview Insurance, You're always up for a coffee, right, with people?
Always up for a coffee and a call. Give me a shout.